Hi and hello watch fans. Welcome to the Real Time Show. I'm your friendly neighborhood jeweler sitting in the glass igloo in front of Villa Saracen at Time to Watch 2025. We're doing a spontaneous recording with two friends, two dear friends, two guys that together with their families, their teams, are rocking the watch world. I'm talking about the brand Christopher Ward, and we have in front of me a very handsome Jörg and a friend of the show, a member of the Real Time Show community, the one, the only, the infamous and famous Adrian Buchmann. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the invitation in this very last minute.
I love spontaneity. It's all about agility. You guys are rock stars. I know you're busy. Thank you for coming and sitting down with me. I lost Rob somewhere in the villa, but we don't need him because we have actually a lot to discuss. I know you're tight for time. I want to ask you, how has been 2024? Because I've seen Christopher Ward all over the place. You graced me also with an opportunity to add a little pebble into the pond that's full of rocks of success. Talk to me. How was 24?
I mean, it was an absolutely amazing year. I mean, we had a record year, and it was not only an amazing year in terms of revenue. I think how the whole company evolved after Belcanto and doing so many things internally to really ramp things up, to get better at every aspect. You know, you always see the shallow thing of a brand, right? You see the product, but you don't see like what's happening with customer service, what is happening, for example, in supply chain. We made huge effort in supply chain. We made huge effort in marketing, CRM, and all of that. So it's been a fantastic year, but I think it's really been a year of growth on all areas, which made a customer doesn't see in the first place. Would you agree to that, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, the company is completely maturing, going to another level. And what is very cool about it is now getting even more clarity on what is Christopher Ward and what we plan to evolve in the coming years. So, you know, as the company gets more and more people, the necessity of get really crystal clear clarity on what we are, what we do, and why we do it, never been better than now.
It's interesting to catch you two gentlemen here. So most of the listeners would think or not know that Christopher Ward is not solely British. Mike France has been on the show. And if you listen properly, you know there is a second half, which is Swiss, the better half. I emphasize, you know, I have an English wife at home, so I love to egg them on the English. They can take a little pinch. Jörg, your dad and you were already a family business.
Yep.
You guys, do I dare to say, merged with the family in England, which was Christopher Ward. Yeah. You guys became a power team together. Yeah. You're head of product development, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Adrian, today's non-executive board member, but you have a lot to say about design at Christopher Ward.
Still holding the pen.
Yeah, still holding the pen at several brands, but you do a lot at Christopher Ward. So what I think, a lot of things put you guys on the map. You've been growing nicely, steadily. I think the Belcanto really, and no pun intended, shook the grounds in the watchmaking industry. I think that put you on the map with the collecting community and maybe the more international community. Am I correct to assume that?
No, you're fully right. I mean, we gained with the Belcanto a whole new customer segment, which was never in touch with us. As this we see from pure customer data, right? This is one of the beauties of being a D2C business, that you immediately understand like what is happening. But we not only see it on internal data, I think you see it also very much on social media, for example. You see it on YouTube. We see suddenly that people want to be affiliated, they want to be in touch with Christopher Ward. They want to speak about Christopher Ward. So yeah, I really believe like it put Christopher Ward on the map, and it kind of like put the innovations which are going on next to Belcanto also more in the spotlight. You know, we're doing hell of a lot with with, for example, the C60 Lumiere we brought out with Global Light, for example, last year. I really think it's an innovation on a different level, but the really like unique innovation. Nobody has done Global Light Lume watches as we did last year. So yeah, I think it's really cool to see that Belcanto spreads on all the brand, on all the products, and really the value proposition rather than only one single piece. You know, I think that's nice.
It did really spread the word, and I think while we launched the Belcanto, and people might had this wrong belief that we will only do this high end. The brand didn't forget that this is still aim to speak watchmaking to as many people as possible. And while Belcanto is probably one of the best value proposition out there, it's still not for everybody. You know, it's still £3,500 or up to 4,000 depending the models. The brand still does a lot of focus on accessible watches, circa £1,000, and that's the area that is harder to bring innovation and to bring new things. But as Jörg said, we didn't forget this, and this is the roots of the company, and this is what the company is still gonna continue to pursue, while still bringing some fun and some high end. And as you can see, I got some cool stuff on the wrist. So the both world can speak to each other.
No, if I can jump into that, no, I fully agree, because I think like the fundamentals on the core values very much come from this entry price, and I think right now we can take the core learnings and the core values from there into the higher end products, because it forces us to think differently, and also from a price perspective, from an architecture perspective, from a design perspective. We think differently, and we're way more price value driven. And this is a bit my point, which I'm going on since quite a few days. But like, as the Swiss watch industry, the export, all in the expensive stuff goes up. Why would you care really to be so sharp on price? You don't, because like you look at expensive watches, everything works. So I think the industry is generally a bit losing touch with being razor sharp with costings. And I think this is something and somewhere where we can really make a difference within the industry.
You guys gave me a perfect segue, because I was, fortunate enough as a retailer to be the first ever retailer to do a collab with you, because our retailers, our dear listeners, might know or might not know, you have always been a direct-to-consumer brand since December, I believe. You guys did a test run with our dear friends and colleagues at Time to Watches in the London studio. It's an experiment. Yep. You want to see what retail does for you guys. Our mutual friend Mike Pearson in the US is doing a showroom. Okay, that's a brand boutique. Mm-hmm. So you guys are firing on all cylinders. Me, myself, I think I'm a good retailer. I've been in the business 45 years, and I'm 45. So I had a mouthful of teeth when consumers asked me, Alona, are you sure the price for the 12, we did a collab on the 12 platform in stainless steel, 1,350 euros in VAT, in euro, didn't you make a mistake? I'm like, no. Why is it so cheap? And I didn't know what to answer. Now, if they're interested and they're watch nerds, I'll go deeper. I'm like, listen, guys, fully integrated. This stuff isn't private label. It's not made up by an external designer. It's vertically integrated. Own designer. They have UK, they have Switzerland. They have father and son plus a huge team producing stuff. Let me swing back quickly to the Belcanto. The mechanism, I call it baby minute repeaters. It's not many brands have them, but how the heck can you make that for 3.5?
I think, let's go back on the fundamentals. Christopher Ward is a direct-to-consumer. Therefore, you don't have the extra of going through retailer and distribution. And again, this is a certain type of business model that the watches go through retailer are not expensive. The price is right because everybody needs to make a living. But we have this chance that the business only focus on direct-to-consumer, only online. You remove a lot of overhead cost. Another thing, the brand doesn't do big brand ambassadors and that kind of marketing stuff. A lot of the time not a lot of the time, all the time we put all the revenue into the product and reinvest a lot. So that's where the value goes. And just by avoiding the normal retail chain, you save half, even more than half of the price. And then I think is another way to design the products. We're very sensitive. It's quite easy to just say, okay, we're gonna go to this supplier, but go and being sharp knife and sometimes taking decisions that will affect the design to get to a special cost. That's something that is always in the track. So it's and that's something that brands used to do a bit more, and now a bit less and less, because at the end of the day, nowadays, if paying 1 Swiss franc, so 2 Swiss franc on a screw, when you sell a watch at 14 grand, it doesn't make much difference. But when you want to really get to a specific price point, well, you look at every corner.
Yeah, sorry, quickly, but I think it is two things. I think really here, I think it's like the price is very much incorporated in the thinking of design and execution. For example, Adrian is absolute the master on this. So also the Belcanto taught us a hell of a lot of things, because we had shapes in there which were a bit costly, and a hell of a lot of learnings out of that. And that's in the second thing is really about supply chain and going there where it hurts. Two things. First of all, like really going to tier like 2 or 3 supplier. Because basically with the suppliers we're working like the same, like the big brands are working, right? But you just have 2 middlemen and you have twice margin. And then really working together with them and kind of price engineering. Can we adapt the shapes and not to also be too stubborn then sometimes about your own design? And I think if you collect all of that, I think then you achieve something really great.
You're firing on all cylinders quite some time. It seems you don't know what stopping means or taking it easy. You, Adrian, just said a word I clicked on. We take the profits, we reinvest. So you're actually turning on the flywheel. What you have on your wrist is, again, mind-boggling. I had the honor to see it already. I was way off in the guessing game, because you always tease me by doing the guessing game of price. And I'm always very close in the delta. And our listeners know, because Rob and I played the game for the Only Watch auction. Mm-hmm. So I'm often, my delta of guessing is not that off. But here, I was off. Don't you think you guys are going too fast? Can the market even keep up with you guys?
Is that a bad thing?
No, it's an open question. I'm not forcing you in any direction. Or is the pipeline of creativity so full and big that you can keep this up for a decade plus?
Well, I think it's very... well, can we do this? I mean, well, I'm not sure. I think me, as a product director, I think we overperformed over the last few years. I think our team has absolutely done a magnificent job, and nothing really went crazy wrong. Somehow we could always take the right exit, the right decision, and everything worked out. So how long can we keep on doing this? To be honest, I'm not sure. Obviously, we're trying everything to secure that the creativity is still there. But yeah, it's an open question.
I mean, the good thing nowadays is that there is plenty of ideas on the table. We just came out from a session last week with part of the product team, and we now try to be a bit more sensible to that question and try to put a calendar over a few years. Mm-hmm. I remember 10 years back when I started, we had a visibility of maybe 6 to 8 months, and we were less prepared. And now there is a bigger responsibility. There is more people. We cannot do whatever we want last minute. We need to plan it. We also made some mistakes. The mistakes have been corrected. Mm. We don't want to have people waiting too long for watches, because that's not a great experience. We, as Jörg and myself, we watch collectors. We experience that. You get frustrated. So we are on the two sides, and we want to provide the best service. So one thing is the product, the other thing is the service, and we really care about the service. It's the same as the restaurant. You can have a great food on the plate. If the service is no good, you're only going to remember the service being bad, not about how good was in the plate.
The watch I'm holding in my hands will launch still in April, I think.
Yes, 23rd of April. It will come with a documentary, a little movie. Over over 1 hour movie that has been, so the whole process of making that watch has been recorded for the last few months, with the good times. I cannot say the bad times. We didn't have something unexpected, but the more difficult times, sometimes you need to find solutions.
Setbacks.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the exciting part is fixing solutions and we'll see.
Mark your calendars. If this episode airs before that time, set your calendars to check out what they're dropping. Hereby I invite you, please, to come back on the show to do a full-length episode because you guys need to run. The next guest is waiting. Thank you so much for popping into the Glass Igloo. Darn you, I need to buy another watch. Are you telling my wife, Adrian, or me?
I'm telling your wife.
Okay. Should we meet at the REF Museum again?
Absolutely. Thank you, Alon, for the invitation. It was a pure pleasure. Sorry for not seeing Rob. The whole point was to show him the watch because he got excited. But, well, for next time, he should come to the museum.
His loss. When he's editing this episode, he'll ping me immediately, send me a picture, which I did not take. So don't start DMing me, please.